قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ. So now we've talked about a nation, a group of people that had extreme luxury. Now we're going to talk about people that lost that luxury. Maybe they had a good life, things were going well, and then things stopped going well. The marriage started falling apart. Kids stopped listening to you. You know, the bank turned down the loan or whatever. You know, the customer base walked away. Your best employee left and the store's in shambles. All this stuff. Things start falling apart. What's the first thing Allah described? He turns to Allah and he makes dua. That's what we learned before. He turns to Allah and makes dua. But when he turns to Allah and makes dua, does he want things to change immediately or after, whenever Allah decides? He wants the things to turn around and, Ya Allah, just, you know, Christmas sales, New Year sales coming. Eid is around the corner. You know, the store owner in Pakistan, in Egypt, he's like, Eid's on the sales are going to go up through the roof. I need this to go well, you know. And he's making dua, 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 and he wants things to turn around, and then it doesn't work out the way he wanted. You applied to a college, and you made lots of dua when you applied to a college. Ya Allah, that one, I want that one. Ya Allah, give me a scholarship. You applied for a student visa. You applied for a green card. H1. You went to a job interview, you really liked the company, your eyes went like googly-eyed when you were sitting in the human resource department. Wow, this place is nice. The building is even nice. And when you first come out of college, your first job interview, everything's amazing. The parking lot, the lobby, whoa. And when you get the job, then you drive your friends over, that's the building I work in. Yep, and this is my parking spot right here. Yep. There's this like, you're glazed. So you really want it to happen, and then it happens, and then 3 weeks later you're laid off. Sorry, the first ones to let go are the easy sheep, the ones who just got in. They haven't settled in, their seats haven't warmed yet, so you're out. Hopeless. He makes dua, he makes dua, he makes dua. He can't find a job, his brother, sister can't find a job. They're applying and they're applying and they're applying. Every monster.com, hotjobs.com, every .com there is. They're talking to their uncle and their cousin. If there's anything, let me know. You know, they even put in an application at Walmart. I'll do anything at this point. Nothing's coming through for a while. And Allah says, Ya ibadi, my slaves, alladhina asrafu ala anfusihim. And this, by the way, applies to all human beings. Those who have gone over the limits against their own selves. Those who have gone over the limits against their own selves. Those who have engaged in sin. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Don't be depressed. Don't be pessimistic. Qanata in Arabic is to lose hope, to look at the negative of all things, to not be able to see the bright side of anything. The glass is always half empty, it's never half full. That attitude is qunut with a ta, not qunut with a ta. That's dua al-qunut. That's ta, it's very different. This is qunut with a ta. Ta, you know. And so this attitude, it's, yeah, I know I'm applying, but I don't think I'm going to get a job. You just lose it. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Don't lose hope in the mercy of Allah. Then of course it's spiritual implications. And this is just in every worldly matter. Every one of you have done sins. Allah is saying, every one of us, all of my slaves, Ya ibadi, Ya ibadi yashmal kull al-ibad. Alaysa kadhalik? Alladhina asrafu ala anfusihim. ثم يقول يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على. My slaves that have gone against their own selves, they've gone overboard. They've made some mistakes. They've done things they shouldn't have done. And then you start thinking, Allah is punishing me. Allah is not going to show me mercy anymore because I'm a sinner. I've done some pretty bad stuff that I shouldn't have done. Even in Ramadan I messed up. How could I do that? It wasn't even shaitan. I can't even blame shaitan now. You know, it's all me. Allah is not going to show me mercy. Allah says, don't you dare lose hope in the mercy of Allah. La taqnatu min rahmatillah. Allah says in another place in the Quran, إِنَّهُ لَا يَيْأَسُ مِنْ رَوْحِ اللَّهِ إِلَّا ظَالِمُونَ. No one except the ultimately evil wrongdoers. They're the people that lose hope in Allah's mercy. They have no hopes with it. They have no expectations from Allah's mercy. The other thing here, sin, the volume of sin. The volume of sin. Don't think you're too far gone. You hear these ayat and you're like, this is describing me. Oh my God, I'm a hopeless case. And Allah says, no, you're not. You are not allowed to lose hope in my mercy. Now you have to weigh it. Like one of the most brilliant ways this was put is by Professor Hisham al-Awadi. Beautiful. I mean, what he said is so brilliant. He said for a Muslim they have to weigh two things. What weighs heavier? On the one hand is how bad are my sins? Just give it a conceptual weight. They're 1 million pounds. They're 20 million tons of sin. And then on the other hand, you say, how big is Allah's mercy? And you compare which is bigger, and how you're supposed to lose hope that this is going to overweigh the mercy of Allah. I can't lose hope in Allah's mercy. And then another thing, a very important corollary to this conversation. Most people lose hope because of other people. Most people lose hope because the sermon is supposed to be a combination of two things, hope and fear. The Prophet ﷺ is Bashir wa Nadhir. But you know what's happened in Islamic discourse in much of the Muslim world? It's all Nadhir. You're munafiq, you're going to hell, you've done so much haram. There's so much shamelessness in our communities, there's riba, there's this and that, and warning, and constant, this is haram, and this is haram, and this is haram. And the people are depressed, and they're like, I'm so messed up. Every khutbah I've heard, I felt like I'm guaranteed to go to hell. How is this Prophet rahmatan lil alameen if that's all I've heard all my life? Where's the mercy? All I hear is everything I'm doing in my life is wrong. Every other time I go to the khutbah, that's all I hear. Either I hear about things I don't understand, or I hear the khatib speaks in a way that it almost feels like he's releasing sleeping gas from his mouth. So, everybody's knocked out, they get the best sleep of their life in the khutbah. Or I hear I'm going to hell. That's all I hear. That I'm evil, I'm a munafiq, and munafiqeen are going to be in the lowest pit of the hell. And those are ayat of Quran too. إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ مِنَ النَّارِ. But you know what that does? Over time, it takes slaves, and all they think about is their sin. And when they think about their sin, and all they think is sins lead to hell, they just say, Allah is not going to show me any mercy. Forget it, I'm burning anyway, might as well party on my way down. I'm heading down anyway. It's like the guy that's going to go to, how these people, they go to war? Soldiers going to war, the night before they go to war, they party. I'm a goner anyway, might as well live it up, this is all life amounts to. So you know what happens? A person who loses hope goes off the deep end. Drugs and alcohol and clubbing and womanizing and all this stuff becomes easy because he's like, what? I'm a goner anyway. لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Don't you dare lose hope in Allah's mercy. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. No doubt it is Allah in fact. He covers the sins, all of them, all together. جَمِيعًا. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. No doubt He in fact is the one that is the exceedingly forgiving, always merciful. Now, exceedingly forgiving, but not always forgiving. Ghafoor is mubalagha, which means it's extreme but not permanent. Rahim is not mubalagha, it's sifa, which means it's permanent. So I'll repeat myself in English again. He's extremely forgiving, but He's always merciful. He's extremely forgiving, always merciful. You know the benefit in that? If Allah says He's always forgiving, there's a problem. There's a problem. Because then people are going to do whatever they want, and they're going to turn back to the saying that Allah is always forgiving. Allah says He's extremely forgiving. And He's always merciful. In other words, His mercy is that He leaves the door to forgiveness open. That's His mercy. He leaves it open for you. So you've made a lot of mistakes, but that doesn't mean that Allah's love and His compassion is gone, that door is closed. The mother shuns the son and says, you've disappointed me, you've hurt my feelings. And she's mad at him. But even after all of that, when the son comes crying back and says, Mom, I'm sorry, I messed up. Even if he comes back 10 years later, 20 years later, 30 years later, does the mother still cry and hug him? Because they were tied by rihm and the rahm. They were tied by the womb. And Allah took that's one creation of Allah, and from that we get the word Rahim. Allah is always that bond of love is always there between Allah and the slave. It never goes away. And that's what opens the doors to forgiveness. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ.